You love Dungeons & Dragons. Now, experience the ultimate way to play. D&D Beyond. Take up the mantle of Dungeon Master to add friends to your campaign. Enable content sharing so that the entire party can access your books and content. Then, after you've noted who didn't bring snacks, unleash unspeakable terrors on them using the Encounter Builder and Combat Tracker. Ah, here we go. You never bring chips, huh, Dave? You get the gelatinous cube. Classic. D&D is for everyone. D&D Beyond makes it easy.
We are here to talk about Moonstone Dragons, which we got our first look at in the D&D Celebration preview and the some sneaky socially released previews that our friends at Wizards of the Coast made available for our drooling and dreaming pleasure. This thing's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, y'all.
Yeah, it's like Puff the Magic Dragon, but in D&D. So pretty, so magical, so whimsical.
I want like a lamp that looks like this. Like I just want a lamp that where its belly just glows with light, and I want it. I don't want to kill a Moonstone Dragon for a lamp. I want a lamp that just looks like a Moonstone Dragon. I just want to clarify that.
Just so we're clear here, made in the image of. Let's talk Moonstone Dragons because we got both this incredibly beautiful piece of art and a preview of some of the information coming our way when we get into Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Incredibly cool, detailed, expansive lore and information. And we already know the book is going to be full of different age groups and layer information and adventure hooks and all of the things to go with it. But we got a taste of it in the Moonstone Dragon preview. And it begins as follows. Ancient legends suggest that when the gods came to the first world and tried to populate it with their humanoid followers, a clever dragon fled to the Feywild to hide a clutch of eggs. The magic of that fairy realm suffused the eggs, which hatched into the first Moonstone Dragons. Their descendants are now found throughout the Feywild. Moonstone Dragons are graceful and elegant creatures with opalescent scales and ruffs of emerald green fur running down their chins, chests, backs, and tails. I gotta stop there. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I just, people who come up with dragons, you're amazing. One horn arcs from the back of a Moonstone Dragon's skull and another at the tip of the nose. The two horns together form a shape that's reminiscent of a slender crescent moon. Moonstone Dragons are playful and impetuous forces of mischief in their early years, but the best of them mature into wise teachers and storytellers who anchor Feywild communities. The worst of them are pompous and ill-behaved, but even those remain gentle by nature and curious about all things, especially travelers from faraway places. Michael, you want to pick up the next bit of this very intriguing Moonstone description?
Absolutely. I do want to comment. So the worst of them are pompous and ill-behaved. I don't know why, but when you read that sentence, the first thing I thought of was like a cat. Like because the cats are so cute and they're just so wonderful, but they'll still like knock stuff off your shelf. So that's forever in my mind now. Moonstone Dragons are cats.
I love that.
Yeah.
But continuing along, so Moonstone Dragons can project themselves into the realm of dreams to communicate with the creatures that sleep near their lairs. In this way, they inspire artists and poets, encourage great thinkers, and spur adventurers to heroic deeds. They sometimes give guidance to those in need or request help from adventurers to encourage them to greatness. As a rule, Moonstone Dragons are not particularly interested in gold or copper, but they love silver, platinum, and mithril. They also cherish treasures whose value can't be easily quantified. Songs sung from the heart, a lock of a loved one's hair, or a painting of a favorite place. A story of happy times fondly remembered is more precious to a Moonstone Dragon than a sack of gold. They're so sweet.
They're so adorbs.
I cannot wait to meet the Moonstone Dragons. I love this approach. I love this idea about like, that they do still value treasure, but there's a specific like I like those more than those. And this sentimental
Mhm.
angle. It's partly because I'm in a very Feywild mood because I really love the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. But I think that's such a cool, ingenious way, and they can talk to you in your dreams. Like what?
Mhm.
Aliza, thoughts on what we've learned so far about the Moonstone Dragons?
Well, I was actually I was just like page turning through my monster manual, looking at all the intelligence scores of all the dragons, the adult dragons, and this is the smartest dragon. Its intelligence is plus 11, or well, the saving throw, but plus 6 is the modifier, and that is higher. I think the next highest one is plus 5, and everyone else is below that. So that says a lot, this. And I just love, again, narratively, if you think about how the stats play into the story, I love that this is literally, it's like a telepathic dreamscape dragon that like values things that are intangible. It values things that have soul, that have heart. And it's the smartest dragon. Like I just think that's beautiful storytelling, even just in the build of this dragon.
Which I love that about monster design that when they've put the things together in the right way, it starts sparking ideas for you of how you could run
Right.
this or use this or adapt this. Whether or not it's the happy whimsical one or the pompous cat like knocking things down one. Uh,
Hmm.
we also know a bit about so the Moonstone Dragon itself. Let's look at that stat block since you brought it up. It is we have a look at the adult Moonstone Dragon here. This is a preview that they released with D&D Celebration. So of course, once we really have Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, we'll see what else there might be to know about these creatures and how to interact with them and the other age things. And if they have any other surprises up their sleeve, we'll know all of that soon. But the Moonstone Dragon right now is a huge dragon, typically neutral, armor class 19, some pretty nice stats across the board. And it is challenge 15, or as you'll note elsewhere on this sheet, if it's in its lair, 16. So clearly some things going on there. Speaks a bunch of languages. And we start to get a look at the immune to charm, essentially. Anything else jump out at some folks from what we have in the stat block here?
Well, yeah, you mentioned the languages, and I think this is another place where it's like, this is a smarty pants dragon. It speaks, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. 5. It's smart,
I like
y'all.
that
And
it's
maybe
also
maybe because, oh, I was just gonna say, maybe it speaks so many languages because it's visiting so many people in their dreams, and it's just like picking up all these different dialects.
I was going to comment on the same thing, but kind of in the other direction that it speaks a bunch of languages which make it more likely to be able to talk to your party, no matter what
Right.
they might be coming in with. I mean, mostly they'll speak common, but it's
Mhm.
very much I want to talk to strangers languages on that
Right.
list, from what I can tell. Michael,
Mhm.
thoughts?
I think this is a lot of this. Just looking at like the layer actions, this looks like just such a fun monster to fight, whether or not you mean to fight to the death or not. I was actually looking at, I believe it was copper dragons, because something about the Moonstone Dragon kind of reminded me of the metallic dragons, and that is the copper dragons like to capture bards because they have such a love for story. And then you also have metallic dragons that love history, and silver dragons which love to occasionally live with humanoids. And so the Moonstone Dragon kind of gives me a sense of like it's kind of within that line of it has a deep love, or at least interest in these sorts in humanoids, and they don't. I can't see this creature ever really being evil, right? I mean, I think even the stat block says they're neutral, but I can't imagine.
Because typically
Typically,
neutral.
yeah. So I mean, DMs, you absolutely have the freedom to say that your Moonstone Dragon is evil or not. But for this one, I wonder, what would really drive a Moonstone Dragon to attack an adventuring
Mm.
party. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that Moonstone Dragons, they deeply value stories and heartfelt songs. So, is this the type of enemy you would make if you were in a tavern and you started booing a bard that was just trying their best to sing a song, for a couple copper? That's I really feel like this is the type of dragon where you could take a really unique approach in how you make an enemy of them or how you would really encounter one. Because I don't know, they just seem so sweet, and why would you ever want to
Yeah.
fight one?
Well,
Surely, if you fight a Moonstone Dragon, you deserve to be attacked.
I think
Michael
this
sides
for
with the dragon.
DMs. Yeah, I do too. I agree. I think for DMs who have like players who are on the more murder hobo side of the spectrum, this could be a really fun thing to throw at them because it might kind of throw them like off their course a little bit in a good way. Just kind of like challenge them a little bit in a way that they're not used to. They can't just come in with blunt force. This is a dragon that's going to challenge them mentally and emotionally too. And will banish them into a dream and make them dance and waltz, which is another layer action.
Okay, we got to talk about it because they're so
Can we
cool,
talk
and
about that?
I
Yeah.
love these ideas so much. Michael, I love that. Like, first of all, the idea, like, if you're running an evil dragon, please tell Michael, because it will break his heart, and
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious. But if you are making an enemy of a dragon, please follow those wonderful, like, those impulses are so good to be like, who does this dragon care about that you might have hurt? Because that
Yeah.
encourages you to think about, like, what do the monsters want? Why do they want that? Why would they be mad about this? Life is complicated. There's all kinds of reasons you might land on the wrong side of something. But I love the track
Mhm.
that you've gone along to get there. That, like, you're just being mean to some poor performing musician in a tavern. And if your players are running around acting like their actions don't have consequences in the world, one thing you get
Mhm.
to do as a DM is let those consequences occur, potentially in the form of
Mhm.
an angry dragon who could do things like this. Uh Michael, so lair actions on initiative count 20, losing initiative ties, the dragon can take one of the following lair actions. The dragon can't take the same 2 rounds in a row. Michael, what's the first lair action we've alluded to that this dragon can do to you?
Yes. So, banish into dream. The dragon targets a creature it can see within 120 feet of it and attempts to send that creature to a dream plane. The target must succeed on a DC 15 charisma saving throw or be banished to a harmless demiplane until initiative count 20 on the next round. While there, the target is stunned. When the effect ends, the target reappears in the space it left or in the nearest unoccupied space. You also have Compulsive Dance, which the dragon targets a creature it can see in its lair, and a merry waltz begins to play that only the target can hear. I love that.
Sorry.
The
Just
target must succeed on a DC 15 intelligence saving throw or dance until initiative count 20 on the following round. The dancing creature is incapacitated, which we know means they can't take actions or reactions, and they must use all of its movement to dance. And then the last one is Disorienting Visions. Disorienting illusory images flit through the dragon's lair. Each creature in the lair must succeed on a DC 20 wisdom saving throw or have disadvantage on ability checks until initiative count 20 on the following round.
These are
I
so
mean,
fun.
yeah.
They're so
Yeah.
varied in
Mhm.
they're so different and so unique in such a fun way.
Yeah.
Like, I
And
won't
that
think they're
DC
fun when it's
20
happening to
wisdom
me, but
saving throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aliza.
Exactly right. But yeah, the disorienting visions, like that's a whopper right there. DC 20 wisdom saving throw. To not have these like hallucinations in the dragon's lair. That yeah, there's so much potential there for um getting your getting your players into some doo-doo, let's say, and then
And I
making
love that
them
these
waltz.
these provide really interesting mechanical challenges in terms of how you're going to handle them in a fight, and also just unavoidably fun narrative things, because literally everyone else in this adventure with you is going to know and see and remember uncontrollable dancing. You are going to remember uncontrollable
Mhm.
dancing of whatever type you might choose, although it is in 3/4, which is waltz time. But nobody says you have rhythm. That's a choice that's between you and your character. Um, but like, I love that they're so flavorful. It's not just like make Banish for a second, it's Banish into dream. It's not just take you out of the
Mhm.
action, it's dancing. It's not just you're confused, it's visions, which lend themselves to all kinds of psychedelic storytelling if you want to lean into that when you're narrating it for your players. It makes that easy. It builds it in, which I think is so cool. Um, yeah,
It
I got
also
excited.
these different layer actions also give you an opportunity to role play. They're not just layer actions that just deal damage. Oh, a gout of fire comes up and from the ground and it deals damage to you, and then we're done. No, you say you fall into a compulsive dance. Explain what that dance looks like to me. Or you're starting to have disorienting visions that make it hard for you to scale this cliff. What do those illusions look like? Banishing into dreams, what do your dreams look like? What can your dreams tell us about your character and what they care about, or what are they worried about in this moment? Or you could have the dragon be uh, telling a tale to the person who's caught in this dream plane, and as they're telling this tale, that character is sort of beginning to understand the motivations behind this Moonstone Dragon and why they've attacked, or what they're concerned about, and you can weave that in without needing to have your dragon monologuing like, "Oh, I have come and found you to do this and that, and this is why." It could be like the dream. You're in this dream and you see a young Moonstone Dragon that seems to be struggling as it was, you know, it was in chains by an evil warlord, and then through that your characters begin to understand. Okay, this particular creature maybe hates humanoids because of its past, and so maybe I can use that to my advantage to bring this combat to a peaceful resolution.
I love that. So the lair
Mhm.
itself, the Moonstone Dragons lair, we know also from what they've given us here, for their lairs, Moonstone Dragons look for places kissed by the moon. Lonely peaks, forest clearings, and placid lakes are among their favorite sites. Their whimsical nature makes them more likely than other dragons to establish multiple lairs, even at a young age. They link their scattered sites with magic portals, often splitting their time between the Feywild, the material plane, and the ethereal plane. The challenge rating of a legendary Moonstone Dragon increases by 1 when it's encountered in its lair. A lot of delicious possibilities there, because you could have this fight across several planes depending on how the portal situation works out. And I love the flavor, as we've been talking about, the way dragons are connected to the land. Um, but I would love to hear, Aliza, can you tell us a little about something called regional effects?
Yes. So, the region surrounding a legendary Moonstone Dragon's lair is altered by the dragon's magic, creating one or more of the following effects. First one is dream communication. So, whenever a creature that can understand a language sleeps or enters a state of trance or reverie within 6 miles of the dragon's lair, the dragon can establish telepathic contact with that creature and converse with it in its dreams. The creature remembers its conversation with the dragon upon waking. And the other one
Mm.
is planar transition. The veil between planes is thinned near a Moonstone Dragon's lair. Various portals link the material plane, the Feywild, and the border ethereal within 6 miles of the lair. Creatures can pass through a portal in either direction by spending 5 feet of movement. If the dragon dies, any portals near the lair close immediately.
These are delicious. Aliza, what
Yeah,
what will you do with these beautiful, beautiful plot hook story
I
delivery
literally
device?
I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'm definitely yeah, I'm going to use this in my game like really soon. um the regional stuff is great because if you have a player or their character who is savvy to dragons, you can kind of seed some of these things and not tell them why. Like as you enter this area of the forest, you start to feel that if someone does like detect portals, you there are several portals here, and as you get further into this forest there's more and more, so like you can see these ideas that there's a Moonstone Dragon's lair nearby for the savvy player or their character who might roll and say, do I know why there's portals? Yes, you do. There's a Moonstone Dragon lair nearby.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what is going on in my head. Just kind of like drawing out what they're going to meet soon by using these regional effects.
Micheal, what sparks for you out of these regional effects for the Moonstone Dragon?
I love the idea of having a Moonstone Dragon that's an ally to the party, and having a sort of game that goes between these different planes of existence. And so the group is always having the group will always find their way back through the portals that lead to the Moonstone Dragon's lair. Um,
Mm.
why the Moonstone Dragon has you going to these different places, I'm not sure. Like, I don't believe it says that the Moonstone Dragon gets to control where these portals go. So you could have a situation where these portals are leading to dangerous places, and the Moonstone Dragon has allied with you to help kind of take care of things in these portals that may pose a threat to it. I don't know. I really there's so much possibility with portals too, and I think it could be a lot of fun to have those just kind of be throwing portals in front of your players and be like, "Are you going to go in? I have a table over here. I can just roll and see where you end up for the day." I think it's a great way to sort of like run a few sessions.
Well, I
Mhm.
love there are so many literal possibilities, places it can go when you're in one of these layers and you're confronted with some portals and you all have to figure out. But I also love that last bit has a sort of beautifully ominous quality where we've talked a bit about like we know a little bit about what might happen if you try to fight the Moonstone Dragon. There could be some more surprises there. We've had some great ideas about how to team up with the Moonstone Dragon, but also I kind of love the idea of what if you've gone through one of these portals and you desperately need to keep an injured Moonstone Dragon alive, or all the portals home are going to close.
Mm.
I
Oh
Mhm.
feel like
wow.
Yeah.
that would be a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, like there's
Final
been a
thoughts.
blight. Ah, that's such a great idea, Amy. I love it.
I just
Yeah.
this book makes you want to tell stories about dragons, which I
It
guess
really
is working as
does.
intended.
Mhm.
Final thoughts on the Moonstone Dragon, or anything we might not have covered about what we want to do or meet or hang out with them. I don't know when they come to us with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Micheal.
I want to give my players a Moonstone Dragon egg and have whoever's carrying that egg start having some really funky dreams.
Oh,
Love
sounds
it.
good. Aliza?
Yeah, I'm just really geeked about uh a dragon that makes you dance. I it's just so great. It's so great. That it's amazing.
I love that. And if you're in that confrontation, once that's happened, you kind of all have to be like, all right, how many of us are there? I bet we all do different dances. You get to find out,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
Uh I think this is really delightful. I love we talked I think when we were talking about various kinds of druid. I love the mechanic of like communicating in dreams, and I think that's a really cool thing to play with and a fantastic thing for NPCs and other and monsters to have in play, especially in a way that's so tied to their own nature. I love the stuff we got in the narration at the top about the first world. We know we're getting some cosmological things with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons that will tell us more about the planes and how they're related to dragons. And we get some lovely little hints dropped in there that you can use in your own game or totally disregard because that's how this game works, which I love. But yeah, I can't wait to meet these folks. When Fizban's comes, obviously we will be continuing in Dragon Hype mode because how often do you get to just spend a bunch of time in Dragon Hype mode? It's the best. But until then, where can people find you, Micheal Galvis?
You can find me here on D&D Beyond. I'm always working on new content for you guys to read on the site. And you can also find me on Twitter at Micheal Galvis.
And you might want to take a look out for rundowns of some of the stuff we've been talking about this week. There may be some article coverage to go with and skim back through the things that we've learned about the Metallic Dragonborn, the Drake Warden Ranger, and keep looking out for more. And Aliza, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Aliza Pearl, Aliza Pearl. And actually, just a little bit later today, I'm going to be over at Fandom Tabletop's Twitch channel playing a horror game with GM Melly Doucette. And it's part of their Cortex October horror anthology series. So go check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, maybe I'll see you over there.
All right. And I'm Amy Dallen. You can find me at Enthusiamy. And I will see you next time on D&D Beyond.
It's D&D.